Okay. Hi. Now I will give a quick overview about CSS. As we know, cascading style sheet. Okay. This is some introduction about CSS. So CSS is very important to design a website. It can help website more flexible and readable for visitor. As we know, CSS can help to design a style of your page element and to describe the presentation of document, to set up size, spacing, font, and color. And moreover, so that can help separate the content structures. It's a greater to manage and easily to change the style of the document. Uh, First, we talk about something about link between HTML and CSS. So CSS and HTML can be corrected in three ways: inline, embedded, and external. For inline ways, the CSS rules are set in the style attribute and no selectors are needed. And for the embedded or internal ways, we use a system like this in the head or in the head tag and in a style tag. For the last way or third way external, CSS rules are implemented in a separate file, and the file extension is .css extension. So this file is linked via the angle brackets like this thing. And for the linking, HTML and CSS should use a third way. Okay, and HTMLs due to simplify HTML document and improving pace, uh, load speed, and certify e-caches. Now for inline style, the style of individual element is defined by style attribute in HTML. Each CSS attribute is presented by a uh, column and the value column right here. And the value of the attribute, for example, multiple property are separated by a semicolons here, semicolon here. And okay, and inline style override any other style. For internal style, look at this. So this style, we declare that rule within style element in the head section of the document HTML. We can see this example about to declare that rule in HTML. Each rule body begin and end with a curly brace like this thing. Okay, and class declarations are preceded with a period and apply to elements only of the specific class. Each property or attribute is followed by a colon here like this. We have a attribute whenever there's a value attribute, and multiple property are separated by a semicolon here like this. We have the attribute font size and we have a attribute color. For the last methods linking to the HTML actional style. For this style, we separate pages can use the same style sheet, only modifying a single file to change style across the website. So link element, this element is used to specify a relationship or REL attribute, like here, between the current document and another document. For example, we have like this, link IEL slash type text and slash CSS, and this is a hyperlink style.css. So the link element can only be placed in the head section or head tag, and other relation value For example, nice previous allow you to link a series of documents, and the styles are reusable. This is very important. Moreover, we also use account imports like this thing to link an HTML CSS file with HTML. This is a M import. However, uh, Asian browser do not recognize imports, so just be carefully when using this word. Maybe internet is polar did not recognize import, but now we have Microsoft Edge, so forgot internet is polar. Four-style system. Four-style system. This slide review the rules, selector, and declaration, including properties, values. Look at this figure. We can see selector here and declaration block here. Selector are separated by commas, like this thing. Okay. Uh, Declaration are separated by semicolons, like thing here. Okay. Property and value are separated by colon here. Or selectors. Selector can be used to every elements of a type and a class element. We can apply pseudo class and pseudo elements. For example, a hover and visitor, like this. Selector also determine which element the rule apply to. For example, a specified attribute, ID, and class element may be matched depending on how they are nested in the document HTML, like this thing. Okay. And there are three primary kinds of selector: by task, by element ID, and by element class name. Moreover, selector can be combined with a commas. Uh, Look at this symbol. It is a match between the hard H1 task and elements with the class link, like this thing, and with the top ID links. Okay. And selector are allowed to define state of pseudo classes as follow: hover, visitor, active, and language. That means language. So pseudo element define element pass or are used to generate content. For example, first line, before, after. You know. For inheritance CSS, in CSS, inheritance control what happens when no value is specified for a property on an element. So CSS property can be categorized into two types. So inherited properties and non-inherited properties. So for inherited property, which by default are set to the computed value of the parent element, okay, like this thing. And for the non-inherited property, which by default are set to initial value of the properties. Moreover, some CSS styles are inherited and some not. For example, the text related and the list related properties are inherited, such as color, font size, font family. Box style and position style are not inherited. For example, wide, high, and border. And the A tag or hyperlink tags define which is used to link from one page to another one. elements do not inherit color and text decoration. Okay, now we review values in the CSS rules. They are colors and numbers. Color are set in RGB format: red, green, and blue. We have two types to see a specific color: decimal, decimal and hex. Let's see jumbo. We have something like this, and we also have some predefined color like orange, blue, red. Numeric value are specified in pixel with this line pixel and point inches, centimeters, and millimeter. And percentage, for example, 50% or 80%. But we need to clarify 50% of what. Um, Zero, this special thing can be used with no unit, for example, border, which the value is 0. Now we have a quick look about CSS basic features. They are CSS background, font, text, border, margin, padding, and list. We also have some CSS as one in here: dimension, classification, positioning, pseudo class, pseudo element, and media types. For CSS background or shorthand CSS property, set all background style property as one, such as color, image, orange, size, or repeat methods. A component property is not set in the background property value declaration are set to their default values. We have a background color. Specify the background color of an element and background image. Specify an image to use as the background of an element, and background repeat set how a background image will be repeated, and background adjustment to specify that background image should be fixed or scroll with the rest of the page. And for position, like here, change the position of the background image. For the form module define form-related properties and how form resources are loaded. It lets you define the style of a form, such as its family, size, weight, and style. Uh, to use when multiple or available for a single character. So for form family, you to set a form name and form style. Define the form style. The form mostly use specific italicized text. For form variant, you to specify whether or not a text should be displayed in a small cap form. And form weight, it is to indicate the grade of a form, and form size, it is the size of the text E. For serial text, serial text modules define how to perform the text manipulation like breaking, certification, alignment, white space handling, and state transformation. The color property is used to set the color of the text. We see that a color is more often specified by a color name like red, or hash value like FF 000, or an RGB value like red, green, blue with integer value. And we have a text indent. Text indent property used to specify the indentation of the first line of the text. Text align defines the alignment of text or other content. Letter spacing specifying the space different the character in a text, and text decoration decorate the text. the transform specify under uppercase or lowercase letter in a text. And we also have a line height used to specify the space between line. For the borders, CNET border properties allow you to specify the style, width, and color of an element's border. So the border width property specifies the width and the four borders. So the width can be set with a specific size in pixel, in point in centimeters, by using one of three predefined value like thin, medium, and thick. And the color, you to set the color of the font border, and the color property can have from 1 to 4 value like top border, right border, bottom border, and the left border. And the style tell browser what kind of border to reply, such as dashes, dotted, and insert around outside something like here. We can see here. CSS outline. Here we have outline, border, and content. So an outline is a line that is drawn around element outside of the borders to make the element stand out. CSS outline a property specifies the style, color, width of an outline. However, the outline property is different from the border property, and the outline is not a part of element dimension. We can see here. The element's total y and height is not affected by the y and head of the outline. We also have some outline style like dotted, solid, dashed, glue, and inset or offset. So the height and the width property are used to set the height and width of an element. The height and the width can be set to auto. GDD4 means that the browser calculates the height and the width or specify in the length value like pixel, centimeter, or in percent of the containing block. And the mark y and the height and the y property is used to set the maximum width and the height of an element. And the mark and the mark y and the mark height can be specific in length value like pixel, centimeter, and percentage of the containing block. Okay, and the mean y and the mean height used to set the minimum and y and height of an element. Margin. See that margin property are used to generate spiral elements. The margin property sets the size of the white space outside the border. We see that we have a full control over the margin. The CSS property for setting the margin for each side of an element, top, right, bottom, and left. All margin property can have the following value. We have auto. We have the length. Where's the length? Here, the length. The length specify a margin in pixel, point, or centimeter. Maybe we can use percent. And inherit specify the margin should be inherited from a parent element. For padding, the serial padding property are used to generate space around the content. The padding clears an area around the content inside the border, like this thing, the border, the padding. We see that you have a full control over the padding. There are select property for setting the padding for each side of an element, like the left, the right, the bottom here, and the top. All the padding property can have the following value: length, uh, length of percent. This length that means specify the padding in pixel or point. This is the pixel. And, inherit just mean specifying that padding should be inherited from the parent element. So for box model, all HTML elements can be considered as boxes. In CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layout. The CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around HTML element. It consists of margin, border, padding, and content. The image here, okay. This image, okay, enlarges the construct of the box model. So the content of the box where the text and image appear, the padding clears an area around the content, and the padding is a transparent, and the border go around the padding and content, and the margin clear an area outside of the border. The margin is also transparent. The box model allows us to add a border around elements and to define space between elements. CSS list. So in HTML we have a two main list, two main type list: order list OL and unordered list UL. Uh, the CSS list property allow you to set different list item marker for order list, and set different list item markers for unordered list, and set an image as a list of item marker as background color to the list and list item. For the list style image, yeah. Okay. And for the position, shows whether the list item marker should appear inside or outside. You can hear, you see inside, it is outside. Now for position, the position property specifies the type of position method used for an element. There are four different position value. We have static, relative, absolute, and fixes. Elements are then positioned using top, bottom, left, and right property. However, the property will not work unless the position property is set first. They also work different depend on the position value. For static, it is a default. Okay. Static position elements are not affected by top, bottom, and right property. An element with position static is not positioned in any special way. It's own way to position according to the normal follow of the page. And for absolute, an element with position absolute is a position relative to the nearest, yeah, to the nearest position ancestor. However, if an absolute position element has no position ancestor, is use the document body and move along the page scrolling. For the uh, fish, so an element fish, it is a position relative to the viewport, which means it always stay in the same place even if the page is scroller. The top right and bottom left property are used to position the element, and the fixed element does not leave the gap between the gap in the page where it would normally have been located. And the last one, the relative. Here, the relative position according to where the element would appear uh, in a static position. Now we have float. The float property specifies whether or not an element should float. The float property, in its simplest use, the float property can be used to wrap the text and around image. The following example here uh, specifies that an image should be followed right in the text. Okay. Uh, the clear property is used to control behavior of floating element. So element after floating element will follow around it. Okay. And to avoid this, use a clear property. The clear property specify on which side of an element floating element are not allowed to float. We also have the value lie left, right, and both. For CSS, opacity property specifies opacity transparent of an element. So uh, here, for the opacity property can take value from 0 to 1. You can see here 0 to 1. The lower of the value, the more transparent. However, for the different browser, we have to set the value of opacity in different. For example, for Internet Explorer, the scale of the value from 0 to 1, but the normally from the 1 0 to 1. Uh, visible uh, visibility. The visibility property specific whether or not an element is visible. So we have some hidden element is not rendered, but it still occupy place on the page similar to opacity, and visible element is rendered on normally. For zip play property is used to specify how an element to shown on a web page. Every HTML element has the default reply value depending on what type element it is. The default value for most element is block and inline. The zip-play property is used to change the default reply behavior of HTML element. So we have a block here. Okay, block level element always start with on a new line and take up the full width available. And an inline element does not start on a new line and only take up much width as necessary. I should take care about this. CSS for a flexible box. This is used to make easier to design a flexible, responsive layout structure within using float and positioning. The flex box property are supported in all modern browser, Chrome as Firefox. So to start using for flexbox model, you need to first define a flex containers like this thing, and the element prop represent a flex container like pro area. So we have a three uh, per block like this thing, one, two, three. Uh, so the flight container become flexible by setting the reply property to flex. The flex container property are flex direction, flex graph, flex follow, flex content, flex align item, and align content. So as we know before, for like direction, this is used to define in which direction the container want to stack the flag item, and for wrap property, specify whether the flag item should wrap or not, and for flag follow, it is a shorthand property for setting both the flag direction or flag wrap properties, and for content is used to align the flag item, and for item is used to align the flag item again, and it also. So we also have many things like this, like this thing order and flag row and flag shrink basic flag and align cells. Okay. For overflow, overflow defines the behavior of element when content is more space than you have specified by the size property uh, for the reason. First, we have by default the overflow visible by default. So the overflow is visible, meaning that it is not clipped and it rendered outside the element box. And then for overflow auto, the auto value is similar to control, no, no, to scroll. Only it add scroll bars when necessary. And we also have overflow X and overflow Y. Overflow X and overflow Y properties specify whether change overflow of content just horizontally or vertically or both. Okay. And we also have other CSS properties such as cursor, and white space. A cursor specifies the look of the mouse, cursor when placed over uh, the element, and white space controls the light breaking of the text. So the value is one of now wrap on no more. Now wrap just means keep the text on one line, and no more. This is default browser decide whether to break line if needed. Pseudo class is used to define a special state of an element. For example, it can be used to also style up you to style an element when a user mouse over it. Style visited and unvisited link differently. Style an element when it get focused. So this is a system of the pseudo class. We have selector, we have pseudo class, we have property, and we have a value inside. We also have many pseudo classes. So, uh, yeah, identity. We have a checked ready. We have visible. We have focus. Read only. Valid. We have empty. We have, for example, we have this is a example B. Empty that means we select every paragraph element that have no children. We have only a type like this thing. Okay, this is also some pseudo classes, you can go to the w3c.org.com to learn more about this thing. Okay, and now we move to the 2D transforms. So CSS transform allows you to move, rotate, scale, and skew element. So the translate method moves an element like it, from its current position, uh, and the rotate method rotate an element clockwise or counterclockwise according to the given degree. And we also have a scale. Scale method increase or decreases the size of an element. And we have a skew. A skew method skews an element along x and y axis by a given angles. Uh, we also have matrix. The matrix method takes 6 parameters containing mathematical function which allow you to rotate, scale, move, skew elements. So the parameter are follows matrix like this: scale x, scale y, skew, scale x, skew y, skew x, scale y, translate translate x and translate list y. For example, we have something like this: matrix one, matrix one minus point 3, 0, 1, and 0, 0. See that also support 3D transformation. Okay, so object can rotate in 3 dimensions. So with the transform property, you can use the following 3D transformation methods like rotate x, rotate y, and rotate z like this thing. And we also have a we also have translate 3D, scale 3D, and rotate 3D. Okay. For Sierra transition, allow you to change property values smoothly over a given duration. We have transition replay specify how many second or millisecond a transition of effect take to complete. For duration property, you to indicate a zip line in second for transition effect, and for transition property, yeah, we have specify the name of CRF property. The transition effect is for, and for the timing function, yeah, specify the speed curve of the transition effect. We have is easy, we have linear. Okay, so this is a example of the transition. We have color, we have a transition, we have a second, we have a y and second, we have a linear. So CSS allows animation of HTML element without using JavaScript. So an animation lets an element gradually change from one style to another. You can use many CSS property you want, as many times as you want. To use a CSS animation, you must first specify some keyframe like this thing for the animation. A keyframe holds what style the element we have a certain time. When you specify that style inside of the here thing keyframe rule, uh, the animation will gradually change from the current style to the new style at a certain time. So to get an animation to work, you must bind the animation to an element like GT. Okay. And this is a some animation attribute like name, duration, time function, delay, iteration, count, direction, play state, and a few more.